Today we're going to start out by assembling an assembly with two parts using some new mates that you probably have not seen before. So we'll go ahead and we'll click our new button and start a new assembly. Before doing this, you should have already downloaded the parts and unzipped them so that you would have the pendulum parts. First one you want to bring in is the pendulum frame. Go ahead and click open and go ahead and set this down wherever you need to. It'll look kind of like the frame of a little swing set. All right, the next component you're going to bring in is you're going to click insert and you're going to bring in the pendulum. The pendulum is this large brass looking thing. We're going to use a couple, we're going to use a mate that you're probably used to. I mean, we have a round hole, we have a round pivot point. So we're going to go ahead and click mate. And the first thing we'll do is we'll put the hole around the cylinder and make them concentric. So at this point now, it'll go on there and it will rotate. Now, a couple things next. First off, the width mate. What the width mate will do is it will put an item equal distant between two other faces. All right. So if I go to the advanced mates and pick the one that says width, the width selections show you kind of the opening or the size of something. So you just need to pick two that are the same. Um, you can pick either this surface right here and this surface, or you could have picked the two outside surfaces. Again, as long as you pick inside, inside, or outside, outside, you should be fine. But it does force you to pick surfaces. You can't really pick lines. And then your tab selections are the selections of the item that should be centered. So we're going to pick both sides of this face. And what it will do is it will center that so that it is in the middle. So as you do this now, you should be able to take the pendulum and swing it back and forth. Okay, and you can swing it all the way around. Now the last thing we're going to do to kind of lock this in is we're going to apply what's called a path mate. Okay, so you should notice that we're kind of right there where we need to be. So under our advanced mates, when we click path, it's going to ask us for two things. The first thing it's going to ask us for is you know what, I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to kind of angle this. So first off, using Control 7, you know, that way you've got the front side, the right side, where they should be normal. And I'm going to bring this up such that the pendulum comes all the way past the path. Now when I do this, I'm going to take my mate tool, go to advanced, go to a path mate. I've got two selections. Okay. I've got the component vertex, which is the very tip point of the pendulum here. It is the point that should stay attached to the path. And then the path selection, which is this line right here. Okay. And you have a variety of different things you can constrain. Right now, we're just going to apply the path mate and get out of it. You will see now is it doesn't really change much of anything because this just being a simple path that swings back and forth, you can see that that was happening anyway. But the way the pathmate works is you can actually use some of those to your advantage. So if I drop this down and I edit the pathmate, I can tell it where to be. So path constrain is I can tell it to use a distance along the path. So right now, when you pick distance along path and pick 0, it's very important to see how it comes all the way forward. If that's not coming all the way forward, you can use flip dimension to switch it. Okay, but you're going to want it coming towards the front of this. That's very important. So you get the right values when we do this later on. What I did not do or forgot to do was you should probably put this, all the parts are drawn in millimeters. So your assembly should also be in millimeters. And now that it is, I can go to my pathmate and edit it. And it'll still have distance along path, but I can put in like 365 millimeters. So it's going to go that far along the path. The other thing that you can do is you can say percent along path. So I could say 50%, which would put it right in the middle. Okay. I can also have it be 25%. The nice part about this is I could tell you this percentage and ask you what the distance along the path is. And if you just switch, it will tell you. Now, this is obviously more decimal places than we normally would work with, so you would have to do rounding on your own, but it is possible to do. So we'll go ahead and accept that. The last thing we want to do before we get started is we're going to go ahead and create under reference geometry a coordinate system. You'll notice my I did move this off of that 0 point. So I do want you to place it at the 0 point. Okay. And what you should see is that you should see X, Y, and Z in the normal configurations where you'll see the red arrow pointing out to the right, the green arrow pointing up, and the blue arrow pointing forward. So in this case, you don't need to do anything other than that. As long as that comes through, you don't need to try to find, because as you can see, there's not a lot of squared and or vertical parts of this, which is what we wanted. So we're just going to put it there. We're going to leave the values as they are, and we're going to accept them. Okay. So now, as you go forward and get asked to provide information based on this, some of them might be centers of mass with settings set in certain areas. So just know that you should set what you need to, and make sure as you go into just as a quick review, as you go into evaluate and you go into mass properties, make sure you are using coordinate system 1 when you do your center of mass items right here. And that way you will be able to do what you need to do, and you will get everything right, and there will be no issue. So, all right. Well, that should do it. At this point, you are all ready to use this assembly to answer some questions and gain some points. I'd probably save it first, but there you go.